Sitting down with Camila, who is our keynote speaker tonight. Camila, thank you for joining with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here speaking with you.
You want to first just start from the beginning. Do you remember your first seizure and how it felt?
Yes, I remember clearly details of my first seizure. I was 9 years old and I was playing with my friend at her house in the backyard. And all of a sudden, I noticed my kind of losing control of my hands and my fingers. And by that, I mean each finger was closing by itself, like one at a time. And I couldn't control it. I couldn't open my hands. And of course, I saw something was wrong. So I ran to her mother. And by the time I got to her mother, my hands were fully closed. And I think a few seconds passed, and I remember just like slowly fainting into her arms. And that's probably when I had my seizure. I don't remember anything else. For me, it was one thing I always say, like, I didn't feel any pain. I didn't really suffer, but the only thing that was really traumatizing to me was when I started coming back to life and I listened to my mom's voice calling my name. And by this time, I was probably inside the car or the ambulance going to the hospital. And my mom would call my name, Camila, speak with me, talk to me. Are you there? Are you okay? And I couldn't answer her. And that for me was really, it was a feeling that I didn't want to have anymore.
So you were diagnosed when you were 9 years old, and you waited a while to share your story. It's been a very transparent year or two for you. Why did you wait to share your story and your experience with epilepsy?
During my late teenage years to 20s, I lived a great life with epilepsy. Like, it did not bother me. I didn't feel, um, less than anyone. I felt confident, but it was something that I did not talk about. And it's still something that made me uncomfortable talking about, just because I know there's still a huge stigma out there about epilepsy. I grew up seeing that stigma. And, like, for example, I grew up and there's so many people I've met in my life, and I barely knew anyone who had epilepsy and there's probably so many people that are around me who had epilepsy because there is so many of us, but we just don't talk about it, right? So it got to a point that, I built this whole social media platform, this amazing following, and it was one thing, the only thing I really didn't share with my followers. And I remember it was a time that epilepsy was coming back strong into my life because it was a moment where I started thinking of pregnancy and building a family. And when you have epilepsy, it's something that you really need to plan ahead, right? You don't want to take any risks. And it got to a point that I needed to make a decision. I was very scared. I knew that if I got pregnant on medicine, it could have side effects to the baby. If I got pregnant without medicine, there's a chance I could have a seizure and lose my baby. So I was really scared. It was a moment that even though doctors were telling me something, I didn't feel confident. And it was the time where I just needed to get all of that out. And I imagine if I'm going through this, there must be so many other women, especially, who want to be a mom and that have epilepsy and they're scared just like me. So I think I finally want to share this with the world, and people might look at me differently, but if I will probably be able to help so many people out there by sharing my story, and not just people with epilepsy, but those who are struggling with accepting themselves. So if I share my journey, right, I could help others out. And that is why I decided to talk about it finally. Yeah.
You're building this fashion and makeup empire, a very successful one. How do you maintain your business while also making sure to stay healthy?
So my life today is pretty insane. It's been really crazy for the past years, traveling the world, working with amazing brands, which I feel so grateful every single day for. I got to create two brands, and I'm running two brands, my beauty brand and my fashion label, which is a lot of work. And with my brands today, it's like I really control my schedule. I I think I would say the number one thing is to make sure that I prioritize my resting time. But, at the end of the day, taking care of your mind is so important for you to just relieve stress. So, doing things you love. So, for me, a lot of times it's like getting out in the sun in my backyard. Or doing a hike or riding a bicycle with my husband or watching TV with him, like things that relax my mind. So, work is every day is a lot. My routine is super busy, but if I, take care of myself, make sure I'm sleeping well and resting, then I'm sure that I'll be okay. So, yes, running two brands is a lot of work, but I definitely prioritize, my time to rest and to relax and to take care of my mental health.
That's amazing. What has been the most difficult thing for you during your journey with epilepsy, or even what do you still struggle with?
There's different things, but I would say the most difficult thing I've struggled with by having epilepsy was the pregnancy part before I shared my story. It was a moment that I was really scared. Like being a mom has always been a dream of mine since I was a little girl. Like I've always imagined myself with kids around and, just being a mom. And when I started looking into it and thinking, oh my gosh, could this like stop me from having a child one day? Like, or could I have a healthy baby? So all of these questions in my mind was just really scary. And I think it was definitely the most difficult moment of my life. And by sharing my story, like I said before, really made me more secure and confident about being a mom one day and about having a healthy family and beautiful family. So yeah, I think that would be for sure the most difficult moment for me.
Just overall, what is your message to people living with epilepsy or seizures?
My message to those who live with epilepsy or have seizures is to number one, know that there's no such thing as a perfect life. I would say believe in you, love you as you are, accept you as you are, and don't ever let anyone or anything stop you from achieving your dreams and going after your goals.
But what's your message to people that are here and they're contributing and they're spending their time and volunteering for people that are going through this?
Thank you. Your support means the world to all of us who live with epilepsy or has someone with epilepsy in our lives. The fact that, you know, you are there supporting, it's really a step to changing these lives. And I encourage you to as well talk about it. To if you have, especially those with epilepsy, if you have a small little social media or not, by talking about it, you can definitely bring awareness. You can definitely make an impact. I think that we're definitely stronger together. But overall, thank you so much for all of you. To all of you from the bottom of my heart, thank you.